look at the way we were sent packing in Rivers State for committing no crime. There was no violence there. Nothing. And I remember one Papa Wolowo said in 1962 in the National Parliament, when they were going to declare state of emergency in Western region, quoting him, he told the Prime Minister then, that where is that violence you are talking about? I was in the Western House Assembly when the little fracas started. There were two crazy people who were trying to disrupt the system. That after that, the police arrested them. When he walked out of the parliament, the people outside the parliament didn't even know that kind of thing.
Chief George, if I'm abutting quickly.
Where is the violence that Bola is citing from the Constitution? That he went ahead to suspend an elected governor of a state based on what? And I am trying to remind people and remind him that was how it all started in 1962. By 1963, they jailed Awolowo. By 1966, there was a coup, there was a counter coup. It led to a civil war. Is that why can't we learn from history? What exactly was the reason why you now told an elected governor to take
so you don't align or you do not agree with President Tinubu's explanation for the state of emergency? Not. He said he had tried to call all of them together. By far, the record, just a moment, Chief George, by far, as a last report of our oil production in the whole of Africa, Nigeria's oil production was the highest. At the last count. And if you look at what this government says they want to do, they want to wrap up and be able to increase our oil production. And as soon as the president said he was hearing the burning or the destruction of pipeline and oil facility, he needed to move in quickly. And he said that he has spoken to all parties, but they ignored him. Should we have waited, those who will ask the question, waited for an escalation of violence in the oil-rich state?
Is this the first time this country has lost production of oil? What is actually going on in the rivers, in the riverine area there? Is it because of that? People have been self-stealing all the crude oil there.
But Chief George, as a retired military officer, Chief George, I thought that defense and proactiveness is part of your training, and I imagine that for strategy's sake, you prevent rather than going around to arrest the situation. There are those who have applauded President Tinubu who said he took the decision right on time and nipped it in the bud.
That was a very wrong decision. The same thing Baba Wolowo told Tafawa Balewa in 1962 in the parliament. Go and check it. That was there crisis in Mokola? Was there violence in Ogbomosho? Was there violence in Badagry? Was there violence in Najegule? Why are you declaring state of emergency in Western region? The same thing I want to ask this man. Was there violence in Port Harcourt? Was there violence on the in the pipe areas?
Chief George, is it because you don't like Bola Tinubu politically? You have always expressed it. Well, because there are those who will say the president under your political party at the time, Olusegun Obasanjo, did same not to one, not to two, but about 3 states in Nigeria where he declared state of emergency. You don't see anything wrong. Why is it now that it's Bola Tinubu that you say that is wrong?
You see what Baba, take up. Let's go into details. What happened in Plateau State where he declared that state of emergency? The people in Plateau State said they did no longer want the barrier. He came from the people that they didn't want him. Which other one was the one that you are referring to? It did not come from him. This one, you said, maybe security something is. Where is the security? The governor came out. He went to appeal to those members of the parliament. He was preaching peace. And we had addressed the Ijaw people that they will be calm. There should be no violence. So why are you now? You know the consequences of what he did? Disrespecting the elected, the voice of the people. You in war, when you say you want to proact, it's different from reacting and sending everybody packing. It's a very serious issue.
But I mean, if you have found error in the decision of President Tinubu, is there any way for him to fix this? What do you think you could have done, in your own view, Chief George, that will make things right?
Let me remind you what he did. He called a meeting of pandemic, the leaders of the Ijaw Kingdom, on day one. Right? The second day, he had signed. Wike went, addressed some people, and said that the Ijaw people who are talking, if they are small, if they do anything, I will whack them. That was the second day. The third day, following them, the first, the second, the third day, the president had already signed the Gazette that there should be state of emergency, and then now forwarded it to the National Assembly, who did a voice vote. Is that normal? Is that legal? Is that rational? Is that a tender for discussion? No. No. That's all we are saying. Yeah, what was the total capacity of the vote assembly at the time they took the decision? A very serious matter. Like
I was asking Chief George, what do you think President Bola Tinubu can do? You've said that there is an error of judgment in his action.
He should reverse it. He should immediately you see what that young man is doing? And I have told him, was my junior in the military. You now headed on. You are now appointing also administrators for local governments. What? You are removing members of the members of the parastatal, the boards of parastatal. Do you have the authority to do that? And is taking the budget now to members of the National Assembly. What is this? Why can't we learn from history? Why can't we learn from history? What is the urgency? We want to take over the place, allow the people to voice their decision in 2027, not to preempt it, because what you are doing, it's not your party. The one you refer to, Baba Obasanjo, the PDP was in government in Plateau State. I don't remember the other state that you mentioned. There were reasons for this. So, coming and telling people and doing things like as if it's a private fiefdom doesn't work.
But Chief George, let me quickly